Hey everybody, this is Wow Man bringing my first really long video walkthrough, that is, through my Renee Feu Adventure Park. And we're going to take a look at the port of call area that I've recently finally completed in this park. Before you even get into it, I'd just like to say that hopefully my audio on these recordings is way more improved. Finally got myself a new mic. It's a Yeti Blue, and from the test recordings I've done so far, I gotta say I really like the quality of this and how easy it is to use. And also now I'm able to finally record the audio on these videos live. I used to do it all in post-production and I felt rushed, and a lot of times the things I was talking about weren't timed well with what was actually on the screen. But hopefully things will make a little bit more sense as I go through these videos now that I have actually a good, more like professional mic that works. And to kind of jump right into the park here, just to recap some areas I've talked about already. Right here is the little security checkpoint area that I built before you cross over the bridge to adventure to get into the kind of welcome plaza, as I called it. And the welcome plaza just has some photo opportunity spots. It has a couple places to buy snacks and just kind of generally look around. Then as you move a little bit more further into the park here, you have the ticket booth, which is a little bit more of an adventure kind of tomb temple type theme. And I don't know, there's 8 or 10 maybe different ticket booths here, and they're all valid openings to enter the park. And here you could see Renee and a little meet and greet area that I built so people could have picture opportunities with her as they enter the park. We'll kind of hop through one of the ticket booths here to get into the Discovery Plaza, as I called it, unofficially I guess called it, where I have a little compass built into the ground here. And there's an information building over there where you can get fast passes. And over here I have an Adventures Club, which is just an area where people could kind of go and sit down and meet and greet archaeologists and see some artifacts that are displayed in there. Here's a kind of made up artifact that I have hanging by heavy posts and chains for picture opportunities. There's a couple snack carts out here in this area. And to get into the main park, you have to pass underneath the train station. This train station I did build from scratch, and I did extensively use on the outside of it here a number of billboards. And actually these billboards that are all on this train station area are actual photos that I took at Disney's Animal Kingdom. So these are all photos of real signs, real walls with signs and such that were actually in that park. So I thought that was kind of cool that I was able to do that. So passing under the train, you enter into the main port of call area. And also just want to apologize for some freeze-ups or some lagging that you might see while I record this video. I'm doing it in real time, and ever since that last update, I've had a huge issue with this game slowing down, and more specifically, tabs not opening. For example, if I click scenery here, boom, you see it locks up. FPS drop down to usually 1 or 2. You can see it gets really slow. It takes a really long time for the tab to open, and not only open but to populate with all the thumbprints. And I've been working with Frontier Support on this. They've yet to find any kind of problem, but you could see how long that took to open up. And again, they're all just empty thumbprints right now, and it takes usually several minutes for a lot of those to populate as well. Now, yes, I have a lot of Theme Maker Toolkit stuff in here. That's all these blue highlighted ones are. but you can see even the in-game ones take a really long time to load. So anyway, I'll close that so the game gets a little bit more tolerable to deal with here. But just to kind of give you a walkthrough through this land, this land is really built with a lot of blueprint items that I was able to find. You know, this whole park, I'm kind of mixing more blueprints items in than built from scratch items, mainly just so I can hopefully get through the process a little quicker on this park than I did with my Star Wars park, which was almost all built from scratch. So, you know, where I can, I'll point out some of the video or some of the you know, buildings that I downloaded as blueprints, and this is the first one from my buddy S. Dan Wolf. It was like a professor's lab or something. I call it the Itchy Ape Garage. I kind of changed it up a little bit, added a few things to the outside here. You know, switched out a rusty car to a beat up truck, and added a few other things like that to it, just to kind of go more with my adventure theme than a garage, you know, like a professor theme. There's a number of these little market areas that I downloaded. There's one player out there that has a whole set of market areas like this. There's this one here, which I believe was the spice market, and back here over on this side, it was like a gold market. So you can see a lot of the stuff here is more gold and jewelry and stuff like that. Goldsmith, he called it. Okay. And you know, again, I give credit in all my forum posts. So, you know, if you want to see what all these are, you could go there, or maybe I'll post the names over these as I go through this video. But this here is the Confisco Grill. Again, another blueprint download. There's a number of shops and smaller buildings over here that I added as well. This here was a restaurant I added, and you can't really see it because it's not an open door, but I actually built a working restaurant, what I call restaurant pods, you know, the new way to have a working restaurant in the game. I've actually inserted the restaurant pod with expansions, maybe like 8 or 10 of them, all within this building and underground below this building to lure guests up into it. And it is a working path and staircase up into that building. So they'll materialize through that door, but you know, that's just something that I thought I would have to do now. Just to give you an idea, over here, another building from S. Dan Wolf. This was his Calhoun's building, or Calhoun's restaurant. I changed it to Renee's Barbecue. So here, I did take off his door and put in different doors. This is, again, a working restaurant in there with a working ramp, but I actually put a blueprint screen in the back of here, just so that at least from the street view, you know, it looks more like a real 3D building. But if you materialize through this billboard, you could see that this is where I have all the working restaurant pods again in here. So it's just, you know, a way I've been trying to do that and hide those in there, just to try to make it more like working buildings. Here's a little Moorish type building that I built from scratch. Bullet Heads Pagoda is in this land. I have a number of walkways that go back behind the buildings, or like this one is a bridge that goes up along the water. There's really one boarding ride in this land, and this is the Hurricane Scrambler. I made this whole area look as though it was devastated by a hurricane. Here you can see a pier that crashed, and some floating barrels and boxes. Lights are all crooked, the trees are a little crooked, there's trash thrown all over the place, and so on. And then here's a little walkway that goes back into the main area of the port of call. Back this way, just briefly, this is Africa, the Harambe village. This is where I'll be working next. I'm going to zoom up here for a second. Once I had this land done, the magnificent ride pack came out, so I added in this chairlift ride. It's going to actually board, as you can see back there in Africa. I don't have that land started yet, but the chairlift actually goes through the entire port of call area, and eventually the other station, as you can see, is out across the river in what's going to eventually be like jungles of Southeast Asia. But again, I may even move this further. You know, right now it's just kind of a temporary place for you know, the ride to have the turnaround and second station. Back on this side of the port of call, I built an extensive bridge, again, that will cross the river over into the Southeast Asia jungles. The bridge is actually complete, so you could see you know, a lot of people. I just put some temporary rides on the other side of the island just to give, you know, people reason to walk on these paths when I do the videos and take screen captures and stuff like that. So that roller coaster will most likely be gone at some point in the future and be replaced with something else. Back in this corner of the port of call, another building from Estan Wolf. He just has, for whatever reason, built a lot of structures that I felt I could use easily in this land. So, you know, I'm sure he doesn't mind me using all of his buildings. I also made this little gift cart from scratch with a lot of the theme maker toy items that people are putting in, you know, for use out there in the game. And I think that some of them really add to these little type of areas like this. Back over this way, we have the Adventure River. This is the orange line. I'm actually going to have 3 lines, boat lines, in this game. Right now I have the orange line and the green line, and I'm adding a blue line out to the back side of the park, just so that there's more coverage or more options or more boats available for people to use as transports or just for leisurely rides. But this here has a queue building that I built, and if I remember, after I make this video, I'll put this building out on the workshop for people to use. Sorry, I just had a weird throat thing go on there. I also have like a boat and dry dock over here. I'll put that on the workshop. But you know, eventually, you know, they make their way to the riverboat here. Real quick, we'll go inside. I kind of tried to make the queue a little bit more not interactive, but a little bit more detailed. Wow, a lot of people like my boat ride right now. I put a bunch of billboards in here with some, you know, adventure type pictures. One of the things I like over here, you know, it's like a riverboat map of the, you know, some part of the Amazon River. Not necessarily what my river is supposed to be, but it's just, you know, like a river map. And I have like a generator here supplying the power to this whole section of the park. It's one of the other things I did is I tried to put a lot of like exposed cable, exposed electrical wiring, hanging lights all throughout the section. And I may carry that theme throughout the whole park with maybe different lighting in different areas, but with the exposed cables and power supplies and generators and such, you know, running the electricity of the park. But I'll also put this section of the park out on the blueprints so you could jump in and explore it on your own if you so choose to do so. But basically that's about it for now, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Hit like if you like it out on YouTube, and I'll be back with some more videos later once I make some progress on Africa. Oh, actually, speaking of Africa, let's just kind of fly up in the air here. This is where Africa is going to be. And to kind of give you an idea of where my plan's going with it is this area right here is all going to be a log flume ride themed around like a crocodile creek, something on that line. I'm going to build like kind of like a little African village with shops, places to eat, and several other flat rides within the village area back in this corner. and I'm going to add a train station here. And I also don't like the way this is cut at the park boundary, so I'm going to actually reload this park into the scenario editor and cut out a lot of this cliff area, or at least make it a little less severe, and put some plantings and waterfalls and stuff like that on it, so it fits in as a better background to the park. So you'll see that in some of the upcoming videos. Now this whole little island and river area here is also going to be Africa, so there's going to be another boat stop here. This is the green line, and this whole island will be filled with buildings and flat rides and attractions and so on. And I'm also going to have hippos in the water. Some of the new theme maker animals people have been putting out, like giraffes and elephants, will be in this area, so it's going to be like a little African savanna, African safari type section of the park. And then back here you can see it's getting a little sandy. That's going to be the Egypt part of Africa. But more on that later. And like I said, look for the park to be loaded out there in the blueprints, and you could explore it, or copy anything you need out of there and have fun. But other than that, that's it. Bye.